Hey, so this is my first episode of my new writer's vlog. The reason I'm doing this is because I started a new project recently that I'm super excited about, and I thought it'd be cool to sort of document that process from sort of start to, well, wherever it ends up, right? Um, and so I'm in the outlining phase right now, so this vlog is going to be all about outlining. And I thought it'd be interesting to do to kind of show you guys a little bit more what I use the hero's journey for and how I apply it to script writing. All right, cool. Why outline in the first place? Well, it's for the same reasons that you want to have a blueprint before you build a house. It's going to take a lot of time and energy to write a script, and if you have a plan, that process is going to go much smoother than if you don't. Also, you're going to be able to spot and fix problems ahead of time. If you have an idea for a character, but their motivations don't match their actions or vice versa, then that can be easily fixed in an outline, where it can be much more difficult to do so if you've already written the script, right? Now, you're not going to fix all of the problems, of course not, but you're going to avoid an awful lot of rewriting if you've done an outline and done the necessary work to fix a lot of the big problems ahead of time. If you have an outline, it also just speeds the whole process up. So, I've tried in the past to write scripts without outlines, and I find them to be really hard going, really laborious, kind of boring, and kind of intimidating. Mostly because while I'm writing, I'm worried about, oh, well, what's going to happen next? Well, is that going to link in with what happened before? Like, I have all these worries in my mind. And so when I have an outline, all of that stuff is freed up. My mind is then freed up because I know what's going to happen in the story. I know that what's happening now is going to work with what's going to happen later. Um, and it lets me think about more fun things. Like, oh, how is this character going to interact with these other characters? Like, what kind of personalities are they going to have? How are they going to express themselves? What's happening in this scene? How can I make it lead into this scene? How can I do any interesting stuff to, like, lay little Easter eggs in there? Like, there's lots of other things you can do if you're not worried about, oh, well, what's the next scene going to be? Also, just breaking up the process into different stages makes it less intimidating, at least for me. I like to have an outlining stage, a writing stage, and a rewriting stage. And I found that once I've added those things and I have specific objectives that I want to achieve in each of those phases, I end up with a much better script at the end of doing it that than just attacking the script right from the go. There are so many different methods out there. You could use cue cards, you could use beat sheets, you could do story circles, you could write short stories of them a little bit first. I use a combination of some of those things. I think the only method that you should be using is the one that works for you. And I know that sounds overly simplistic, but I think there's people out there who think like, oh, well, this is the right way to do it and this is the wrong way to do it. I don't think there's any right or wrong way. There's only what works for you and what doesn't. Like in the past, I've tried cue cards and they work really great for other people and they really, really love them, but they just didn't work for me. It just didn't, for whatever reason, it just didn't gel. But I find doing story circles, like, no problem. So just find what works for you. And if you haven't found something that works for you, just keep trying different methods until you get to something that like clicks with you and gels with you. So I like to do a combination of different things. I always start with a story circle. And if I've been stewing on a story for like a few months, then the first thing I'll do is sort of like, I'll do my vomit draft onto a story circle. And usually it'll look pretty pathetic where I've only really got like 4 scenes out of like a full, I thought I had this whole feature film in my head, then actually write down what I've been thinking about, and there's like 4 or 5 scenes in there. And it shows me what I need to fill in to make the story actually work, which is super useful. Once I've actually filled all that stuff in and sort of figured out, oh, this needs to happen here and this needs to go here and blah, 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 then what I try and do is I'll tweak it until it starts to make a bit more sense. And then usually I'll like scrap it and then just rewrite the whole thing again. And then tweak that, and eventually what I'm trying to do is make a theme emerge. If there isn't one already in my mind that I want to shape the story to, then I'm trying to see what is the story trying to be about. Like, what is the actual point I'm trying to make with this thing? Like, what is the point of this story? And I'll keep rewriting them, several times, between like completely rewriting them and tweaking them. I've probably gone through like 5 or 6 different versions until I get to something that I am happy to sort of move on to. After that, I go with a beat sheet and I sort of take all of the little stages around the story circle and expand them out a little bit more. I'll put a little bit more detail in, try and inform the characters. And at this point, what I'm trying to do is like put a little bit more flesh on the bones of the characters. I'll try and like build them out a little bit more, figure out what is motivating them, why are they doing these things, and that will almost always result in me needing to change the story again. Like, I'll usually go through another sort of 2, 3, 4 versions of the story with a beat sheet, just trying to get because characters you think you're in control, but you're not really. Like, you start writing the characters and then you realize the character really wants to do this, not this. And so you kind of have to follow the character. You either need to put an obstacle in their way or you need to change the character to make the choice that you want them to make. And you need to do this several times until, the character's doing what they need to do in order to fit with the theme. That's what I'm trying to achieve with my beat sheets. And then after that, once I've kind of worked it in where the characters' motivations match their actions, which also sort of gives the theme and the point of the whole thing, and is tied in with all of that, that's when I then go to writing it as a short story. And now this will usually be, like, I'm writing a feature film at the moment, and the short story version of it I wrote was 5 pages, like pretty much bang on 5 pages. Which is like right from the beginning, everything that happens right to the end. And I find that with that draft, what will happen is it really fleshes out the details and it helps to show me what needs to come one thing after the next. Sometimes I don't necessarily have everything in the right order at this point. And so I'll be able to like see where that stuff needs to go and what makes sense. And, we've seen an awful lot of this. We need to switch it to something else. And you'll also get an idea of sequences within the story. So things that lead up to a point, and then sometimes the story will take another direction, and sequences that lead up to, and then next set of scenes that lead up to the next point, which will then change things again. And so I'll have a really good idea of where all those things need to move and what needs to change. At each of the outlining stages, I'll go over the script like multiple times. So, by the time I've gotten to the point where I'm happy with the outline, I've probably gone over the story like 20, 30 times. Like, really no exaggeration, between like little tweaks here and there, or like completely like scrapping the whole thing and starting again. Like, I'll have gone through the script like 20, 30 times. And what that does is it gives me like a really refined idea of what the story is, like why the story is, who the characters are, why, like what they're doing and why they're doing it, and how they interact with each other and intersect with each other. And again, like, for me, it removes a lot of doubt. It stops me wondering, like, oh, well, what happens if they did this instead? Or what would happen if they did that instead? Because I've already taken them down those roads and it led nowhere. I've already taken those risks in the outlining stage, and I've realized, like, oh, that's not where the story really is, or that's, I don't have to worry about all those different things because I've already tried. Also, sometimes with the outline, you need to sort of take a break from the story and give it some, there's time working on it, and then there's time away from it where your brain is just like fermenting the ideas. And that time away can be good. And sometimes it takes a day, sometimes it takes a week, whatever. Like, take the time you need in order to get the story to really work, you know, unless you're getting paid for it and you have a deadline, in which case, like, get on with it. that advice doesn't apply to you. So for an outline to be useful, I think it needs to contain like 4 key elements. There's the theme, the inner journey, the outer journey, and the characters. So I try and like answer 4 key questions that relate to all of those things. So for the theme, it's what is the point of this story? Like, what am I trying to say with this story? What am I trying to say about life, about the world, about being human, right? That's always generally what the theme is. For the inner journey, it's how does the protagonist change and why do they need to make that change? Then for the outer journey, it's what causes that protagonist to change and how does it cause them to change? And then for characters, I find like, who are these characters and how do they help the hero get to the end of the story? What sort of function are they facilitating in the story as a whole, right? So those are my 4 questions that I try and answer every time I do an outline. So these questions are really more about the function of the story rather than the form. You know, you can use those questions if you're writing a novel, if you're writing a screenplay, if you're writing a kid's book, a short story, whatever, right? Those questions still need to be answered. I find it's best to have those questions answered in the outlining stage so that when you get into the writing of the script itself, you don't have to, it frees you up from worrying about those things, like I've said before. Now, I've evolved a lot as a writer, and my thinking about writing has evolved a lot over time. And there's a few things that I've learned that I just wanted to share here that I think will help with this process. And especially at this stage of the writing process. So the first one being is that the characters are going to do what they want to do. You aren't necessarily in full control. I say let them and see where that leads you. It might not be where you thought the story wanted to go or where you wanted to go, but it might lead to something interesting. Try it. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. The other things with characters is that if the action you need them to take isn't one that they would choose to do, then you either need to change the character so that they are a person who will make that choice, or you need to change the action to fit what they really want to do. And that is going to happen like over and over and over again throughout the whole process, right? Understanding who these characters are and why they want to do what they want to do is what screenwriting is. Like, if you can't get to grips with that process of rewriting either the character's motivation or the action, then you're going to really struggle to write something that's coherent. I'd say have one strong theme running through the story. I know in the past I've struggled with like, oh, I want to say this and I also want to say that and I want to say the other. And I try and pack them all into one story. What I've realized is that having 3 weak themes is way worse than having one super strong theme. You know, it's like if you went to like a dive bar that only served water and had a Chinese buffet, but the dress code was like black tie and ball gowns. Like, it's too many different things going on. None of them fit together and they don't make sense. You're better off picking one of those things and then just following down the line of what will make that one thing really shine. Okay, I think that's everything I have to say about outlining. Thanks if you made it this far into the video. Really, really appreciate it. like and subscribe below in all the places. If you have any comments, chuck those down below too, and I'll get to those if I can. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. I really did. And I can't wait to sort of update you on what's going on with this screenplay. All right. Thanks very much. Peace.